the Board of Directors regular meeting of December 3rd, Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District open for business. Mike, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Please stand, hand over heart. Rudy, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Karen, would you please call the roll?
Director Kelly,
I'm here.
Director Malloy,
Here.
Director Mishler,
Here.
Director Dixon,
Here.
Chair Magner.
Here. Amendments to the agenda. Are there any amendments to be made to the agenda? No. Okay. Is there a motion?
So made.
Second.
Karen?
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Dixon,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Malloy,
Aye.
Chair Magner.
Aye. Number 5 is presentations. We have the full-time recognition service award and service awards. So Macy, please.
Good evening, Chair Magner, members of the board, staff, and anyone who may be watching. I will be presenting the Employee of the Year. So while this year was a strange one for our district with a ton of canceled programs and events, this year's recipient did not let it hinder their dedication to the public. They found ways to stay positive and keep the community's needs as their motivation to be creative in their job. So I'd like to congratulate Connor Sudani as our 2020 Employee of the Year. Come on. So Connor has been employed with us for about 4 years. He started as an intern with the district and has learned and grown and is now a seasoned recreation specialist for us. These past few years, Connor has overseen the district's special events, so Easter Extravaganza, Halloween in the Park, Camarillo Christmas Parade, Summer Concert Series, just to name a few. And in this year as well, he finished his year 2 of event management school, certifying him as a certified festivals and events associate. Now, as if special events wasn't enough, Connor this year jumped onto the aquatics team and has been learning the modified ins and outs of programs, staff scheduling, and everything that is surrounding that center. He helped develop a better lap swim registration system that's easier for our lap swimmers to use as well as our staff to manage. And currently he is completing his American Red Cross lifeguard training certificate. As you may have seen, Connor reimagined Halloween in the Park drive-thru, which attracted over 550 families and more that we had to turn away because of our time constraints and traffic concerns in the area. Connor worked under strict state and local guidelines to hold the event for our community while keeping everyone safe. His dedication to the district and our community shows, especially when they show up to his events, rewarding his hard work. He's also reimagined the Camarillo Christmas Parade, as you guys have heard about, to do the same, keep our community safe while giving them a chance to see Santa. While Connor may not believe it, he's received a great number of nominations this year. Some of the things his coworkers are saying about him. Connor suggests and develops new work methods that increase productivity and save time and money. Connor has faced challenge after challenge and is still dedicated to serving the community and being flexible. We all wear different hats in the district, but Connor has a closet full of them. Now, while I could go on and on about Connor's hard work and dedication, I think you guys get the picture. So Connor, thank you for all your hard work and continued service to our community. We are proud to have you on our team. So we'd like to congratulate you with a certificate and a small token of our appreciation. I'd give you a high five, but. So, your 2020 Employee of the Year.
Speech. Anyone want to say anything? Oh.
Okay. The next item is the 2021 programming calendar. Oh, do we have something else under A? Oh. Bob? I seen you try to get up, and then I went on.
Good evening, Chairman Magner, members of the board. It's good to see you. Sorry it's going to be the last for some of you. We're going to miss you. But you can be back in a few. Anyways, I'll give it to Connor, sorry. Tonight I'll be giving you the service awards for, we just have 4 of them this year, and they're all in my department. So we're going to start off with Dusty Faber. Well, maybe not. I had wrong button. My fault. I had the wrong button. There we go. There's Dusty. Dusty's been with us, the district, for 5 years. Very young, motivated individual. So, anyways, he started his 5th year here with the district. He started off as part-time. Shortly that year after, we promoted him to full-time. That time, he's proven to be an exceptional employee. He's demonstrates professionalism while interacting with the public and his fellow employees. Dusty has excelled in his short time here. Has excelled in what he does. I'm not going to read all of it, but he's gotten certificates to promote himself in the short time he's been here. For a young individual, he's doing very well. He's not afraid to go out there and tackle what it is. He'll if he can't do it, he'll figure it out. So it's good. We've been shorthand on our mechanic, of course, because Steve retired last year. Dusty will go in the shop and turn wrenches once in a while if we need something done. He does it at home, so it's been a blessing to have him there too to do that for us. He's been doing some lighting. He's afraid of electrical, but he's been doing it. He's got to tackle that fear, and he's been doing it. Changed a bunch of lights in the shop. He didn't do the Springville job because he was afraid of heights. So we'll get that one next. Anyways, he's learned the tankless water heaters, irrigation. He's been a good individual overall, so proud of him. Next is Joey Key. Joey's, again, it's a part-time employee, started off part-time, and he's been here 5 years now. Excuse me. He quickly rose through the ranks. He's still learning the job. It's coming to him. He's a good leader. Just got to get him to understand some things we do, but he's doing a fine job. So he was promoted to full-time, I'd say about 2 years ago, maybe, to crew leader. So, again, he brings a lot of energy. He's probably one of the most energetic souls we have. You just got to get him calmed down a little bit, but he's good to work with, and he's bringing a lot to his crew. Next is Mikey Guerrero. Mikey's been here for 10 years. He was part-time in the beginning. He worked 3 jobs, and when he finally got to full-time, he just took advantage of it. And again, he was a little discouraged. He didn't get promoted quicker, but we explained things to him, and then he jumped on board. So he's a very good. He's been at center for the last 2 years, I think, but he's doing good. We have a bunch of young staff that's moving up the ranks, learning. It's very positive. Then we have Clayton Rutkowski. Clayton, he was been 10 years. He was with the recreation for 6 years. Then he came to the parks, and I took advantage of him. And he's a hard worker. He wants to learn. Sometimes he gets confused, but he just jumps back in there and we'll figure out what he did wrong. He's helped us instrumental in the bathrooms remodeling. He'll strip floors. He's learned this position very good, and he's working on his water science degree, which is huge. I can't talk in this thing. I'm sorry. I feel like getting claustrophobic when I talk with it. So, anyways, he's pursuing his water science degree, and that'll help out in our field tremendously. So those are my 4 guys we have service awards. So that's it.
Thank you, Bob. You do have a young staff, very young staff, so,
They won't be room for promotion for a while,
okay.
but they want to learn, and it's good.
Okay, all right. So you're the only one that has service
Yes, ma'am.
this year?
Yep.
Okay. Well, congratulations to the 4 guys.
I'll let them know
We-
that.
Please let them know.
Yeah,
that,
yeah. They knew they were getting it, but it's
Okay.
like, that's fine.
Tell them in different times why we'll have them come back.
Okay.
You take them out to lunch or anything, or?
No,
No?
no, can't do it. They'll get too close and they'll want me to buy. So, anyways, thank you.
Okay. 5B, 2021 programming calendar. Eric, are you on? Okay.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board, general manager, staff, and viewers at home. Eric Story, your Recreation Services Manager, and tonight I'm presenting the 2021 programming calendar with a huge asterisk next to it for a couple of reasons. One, this is all contingent upon state and county guidelines with COVID. Second is it's a lot easier at the staff level to plan these items now, set dates, times, locations, set up the partnerships, versus having to scramble at the last moment to do that. So the plan is to present these, and then the approval process comes with the budget process by which the board allocates funding to various programs, activities, and so on and so forth. So tonight is just a general idea of what we're planning for 2021 with those things in mind. Senior services. So traditionally we do a movie and lunch series every month. The lunch is usually catered by one of our amazing community partners. This year, it'll be the first Thursday of odd months, so January, March, so on and so forth. So lunch traditionally starts at noon, and then the movies start at 1 o'clock. We have a lot of senior dances coming up as well. So Valentine's, we have a new one where we're shifting from a spring fling to a senior prom. We will make sure that the messaging on this one is really clear as to which type of senior we're serving this year, as well as the Halloween dance. And these are from 1 to 3 o'clock. Traditionally, light refreshments are served, and our partners, the seniors of note, provide the musical entertainment. Aquatics, we're looking at a couple programs. One is the Back to School Night, which will be Friday, September 17th, as well as our traditional Spooky Swim, which happens as part of our overall Halloween programming. These are both at the Aquatic Center, contingent upon being able to open and program it. Sports, we're going to try something a little different this year. We want to get a dodgeball league up and running. So in order to do that, we want to gauge interest and really start to develop it. So Mondays in February, we're looking at doing a free play / open play mixer by which the residents community comes out and tries it. It's almost like a try before you buy, really gauge interest. And then Dylan Gunning, one of our recreation specialists, has developed a Gobble Run 5K fun run. This is going to be either in person or virtual, pending, again, a lot of things in November. This will be on Thanksgiving Day, which is, there's a lot of communities that do this because there are people that want to shed some calories in advance of their meals. And just as a reminder, the picture in the middle here is a root beer run and ice cream invite we did 2 years ago. We had a huge turnout for that. So again, thanks staff for developing these ideas. Our outdoor education and HCF, our Habitat Conservation Fund grant, developing some more programming revolving around these two items. One is the Love Your Planet event. It will be Saturday, April 24th. That's near Earth Day and Arbor Day. That's going to be rolled into part of the grant submission that we were awarded in late 2019, I believe. Traditionally, we do National Trails Day as part of a larger initiative, which is the first Saturday in July. It's a cleanup effort, rebuild. We've done that for a while now, actually. That's Saturday, June 5th, starting at 8 a.m. We have a new program, a new hike, the Trail or Treat, which will be incorporated into a lot of our Halloween-type programming. That'll be September 23rd from 10 a.m. to 12, and all programs and hikes are at Cam Grove Park as part of the HEF grant. I'm sorry, let me back up. I'd be remiss if I didn't remind everybody that our program, Get Wild, I think we're technically supposed to do that, so that's our program, Get Wild, Nurture Your Nature. On the special events side, we have the Flashlight Easter egg hunt, which was a brand new program in 2020, and then COVID hit, so we were not able to do it. So we're going to be bringing that back again. We had almost $7,000 of in-kind promotional material from all our community partners that went towards prizes and whatnot for the event. A lot of the partners said, go ahead and keep that for the next year. So our community partnerships team has really built out a lot of that, and we're going to add to it with more partners. And that's Friday, April 2nd. That's a nighttime event. And then the next day is our traditional Easter extravaganza in the morning, and that'll be at the community center. We are also bringing back a wildly popular food truck festival, which again we tried and had over 2,000 in attendance in 2019. It'll be the last Saturday in May. It's 4 to 8 at the community center. And then one minor change to one of our events is the Senior Expo, the 50 Plus Expo. Traditionally, this event is in early May, but over the last few years, staff have identified that there are a lot more similarly situated events popping up throughout different areas within the county. So in order to differentiate ourselves, and more importantly, provide more information as open enrollment is near this time, we're moving that to Saturday, September 11th during the day to try it out this year. And that will be at the community center. More special events is our National Go Skate Day, where we partner with Revolution Skate Shop. Traditionally, it's a free event for the community to try. Come out and skate at the skate park at Bob Kildee Community Park. In 2019, we also tried the Mayor of Camarillo Dog Parks campaign. There was some election discrepancies, if you will. So that will be part of our Fun Free Events Every Day in July program. More information will be online. As well as the end of summer campout. Again, I'll say it over and over. Everything got canceled this year, but when we did it last time, it was at Camarillo Grove Park. It was wildly successful. I think we had 104 registrants. We're moving it back to a Saturday instead of a Friday, Saturday overnight. It's going to be a Saturday, Sunday overnight again, just to ease the burden of trying to get off work and get the kids and come out. And then we have our biannual or twice annual rummage sale. One is in April, one is in October, and that's at the community center. And to add to more of our Halloween festivities is our Halloween. We partner with the FCD, the Friends of Camarillo Dog Parks, to put this event on. And then our Halloween in the park. And over the last 2 years, in 2019, we had the fires that broke out, so we had to significantly shape that down. And then this year we did the drive-through. So we have a couple opportunities ahead of us in terms of what we can or can't do. Our Letters to Santa, this year we're doing it, this is our second year running. The first year we had 227 letters that we helped Santa deliver. This year is going well so far. I believe the number this morning was already 13 letters that were received. So in 2021, we'll be running that campaign again, as well as we'll be bringing back our traditional Breakfast with Santa. And then, as always, the second Saturday in December is our Christmas parade. And that will be throughout the community. And then our partners, the community band, traditionally have performed every Thursday in July. Location is pending. It can either be at our community center using our stage, or 2019 they were here at Constitution Park. So we're working with them on that. And they also have a holiday concert in December of 2021, and that is in our auditorium. More summer fun is our Movies in the Park series. The first 3 movies we have lined up are listed here in the dates. We have not decided, or we haven't picked locations or specific movies yet. We'll pick that as we get closer. But we traditionally have food trucks. We have live music, and then the movies will start as soon as it's dark enough to watch the movie. And then our Fun Free Events Every Day in July, we're still trying to figure out how to shorten that one. It's literally an event every day in July and part of the celebration of National Park and Recreation Month. And again, we won Innovative Programming Award in 2018 for this program. And just a couple of the programs that we've done is the Touch a Truck event in partnership with Station 54. Again, I mentioned the RBR ICI, the 5K run that we did, and Art in the Park, and for the board and staff, we know we have the play sign at the community center. That was part of the Art and Park 2019, put together by the community. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, thank you.
Anybody got any questions? Okay. I'm glad that you moved the 50-plus Expo. I think that's much more important toward the end of the year when open seasons are, because you forget about it in May. So, yeah. Thank you. Okay, 6, public comments. In accordance with Government Code Section 54954.3, the board reserves this time to hear from the public. If you'd like to make comments about a matter within the board's subject matter jurisdiction, but not specifically on this agenda, in accordance with California law, the board will listen, note the comments, and may bring back the comments back up at a later date as an agendized item for discussion. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes to address the board. Okay. We have someone on the phone.
Hi, Matt. Looks like you are up.
Is it Matt?
Okay, do you hear me?
We can hear you, Matt.
Okay, thank you. Hello to my friends in Camarillo. It's Matt Lorimer from the great state of Texas. I don't know if some people remember me, but I used to live out there. I was an advocate for seniors. I want to talk about the food pantry. 8 years ago, we started that with the blessing of the board because there was no place for seniors to go to get food in Camarillo. The other food pantries, it was more difficult for a senior to go there when they had, they walk slower, they talk slower. And people need food, especially if they lose a wife, a husband, a job loss, or a host of different issues. The food pantry is so important. I know recently it shut down. The church that was doing it, that we got to do it, was out of Simi Valley, and apparently they didn't have a 501c. I can't tell you how important it is during COVID-19. How important that is, and I hope it will continue. And I know it's changing, and I look forward to that. I live in Texas, but for the last 4 years, I've taken those calls. Most people don't know that, but I was the number listed for you guys, and I'd take calls all during the day, 24 hours a day. So many people are in need in this time, and it's so important to have that because people's lives depend on that. And this is going to go on for several months, and the work that you guys approved saved lives. Some of your directors are leaving, but anything you've done, you've made a difference in people's lives. And I really care a great deal about the people in Camarillo and the seniors, and I hope it will continue the program in some form. And I hope you guys will continue to support it, and I hope the new board part of those people will still support it. But it's real important to my heart that I may live in Texas, but my heart is still in Camarillo. And I'm greatly appreciated what the board has done to support that program because it matters. Everybody makes a difference. So I'm greatly appreciated, and I want to thank the board members, all of them. And I really have a deep affection for some of you and the community and the seniors I love. And thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Happy
Thank you.
holidays.
That was it.
Mary, do you have an update on that? Eric, can you give a quick update?
Good evening, Chair, Board. Eric Story, Recreation Services Manager. Yes, we've done a site visit at the Oxnard facility with Food Share Ventura County. We have the agreement we're working through. We're working with Capri right now on some risk mitigation, risk management items. We're waiting some answers on that. And our rep with Food Share is out this week. But otherwise, as soon as we get some answers and we get their sign-off and a site visit, we're ready to run this program again. It will be staff-run, and we have a commitment from the City of Camarillo for staffing support on this. So it's just a matter of a couple T's and I's getting dotted and crossed, and then we'll have this program running again.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay. Karen, do we have some other write-ins?
Yes.
Read them, please.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to skip over this one. The first one here I'm going to read would be from Dr. Manny Koch, Aquatica Charters. I am hereby, or esteemed board members of PVRPD, I am hereby requesting that the board approve and build more lighted pickleball courts in our community as soon as possible. Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the country and community. Having citizens compete over courts with tennis players is neither conducive to the goodwill nor to anyone's health in the long term. Only more dedicated, lighted pickleball courts will alleviate the pains everyone is feeling. You may contact me for further input at your discretion. Additionally, I am requesting that the current COVID rotation roles will be adopted as permanent rules, and that a gate between the permanent and temporary pickleball courts at Kildee be installed, or the separation fence be removed, and the 2 temporary courts become permanent pickleball courts. In addition to the conversion of these 2 courts, I request that more permanent courts be installed at other locations in the community, aside from the planned courts at Springville Rancho. This next one's from David Orr of Camarillo. To the PVRPD directors and staff, I would like to take this opportunity to express the need for more pickleball courts in Camarillo. As expressed in the ad hoc committee session last month, the need now outweighs the available courts. I also joined others in requesting the following improvements to the Kildee Park pickleball courts. 1. Permanent PVRPD rules to be posted explain the rotation rules. 2. Permanent opening placed between the cage courts and the other courts. 3. Permanent reconfiguration of the temporary courts within the caged area to permanent pickleball courts. 4. Placement of lost and found storage box at the courts. 5. Planning for future maintenance of the courts to repair cracks. 6. Continuation of the ad hoc committee to keep an open dialogue between PVRPD and the pickleball community. Thank you for your consideration. Next email comment is from Mike Ashley of Camarillo. Dear PVRPD staff members and directors, I am writing to you to express the need for more pickleball courts within the city of Camarillo. I have lived in Camarillo for 17 years and play pickleball around 4 times a week, 3 of those times in Camarillo and 1 time in Simi Valley. Some of the things I find the most important to the Camarillo pickleball community are listed below. 1. Convert the caged dual-use pickleball tennis courts to pickleball only with permanent nets and new pickleball only lining. 2. Create an entrance gate between the caged courts and the 4 courts that are currently pickleball only. 3. Make the current COVID-friendly rotational play rules permanent. 4. Fix the cracks on the courts and consider repaving them. 5. Improve the lighting at the courts. The south side of the 3 south courts are poorly lit and difficult to play on at night. In the future, if a new pickleball-only center is built, please look at what they have done at Ventura Park in Newberry Park and Rancho Simi Valley Community Park in Simi Valley, as they have much better setups than what we currently have in Camarillo. Thank you. This next email comment is from Trish Zakis. She also attached some backgrounds, information, and a wish list, which was the consensus of the majority of the players at the courts. Dear Board of Directors, I'm writing to you this evening to emphasize the need for more pickleball courts in Camarillo. The attachment lists the points I made when I spoke at the ad hoc meeting the district held on November 2nd, 2020. Since most of the board was not at that meeting, I am taking this opportunity to send copies of the notes to you now. Pickleball has at least as many pickleball players in Camarillo as there are tennis players. To be fair, pickleball now should be treated on a par with tennis. There are 19 tennis courts in Camarillo and only 4 dedicated pickleball courts, plus 2 courts that are multi-use, either 1 tennis court or 2 pickleball courts. Pickleball does not have priority on the multi-use court, so if 2 tennis players are playing on the multi-use court, that stops 8 pickleball players from playing. There is no sign stating pickleball players have priority. At the very least, I request that such a sign be posted that during prime time, 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., and 5:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., pickleball has priority on the multi-use court if the other pickleball courts are full. Tennis players have many more court options for play that pickleball players do not. Thank you for consideration of this matter. And then one more. That is from Patty Bayman. I enthusiastically support the approval of more pickleball courts in Camarillo and the COVID court rotation rules. I play at the Kildee courts about 4 times a week, and it is a great part of my active day.
Was there one from Ron Adams?
I'm not reading that one.
Okay.
I'm all set.
Mary, do you have an update on pickleball and tennis courts?
So the update that I have, when we had the meeting in November, it was to look at all the surveys that came back in. So Jessica has combined all that. The next step right now is, I think we had talked to them, was looking at various information. So one is looking at pickleball and tennis court hours, looking at best practices, meaning what we're trying not to do is solve one problem to trade off for another one. So a couple things that we're doing, and we actually, staff internally has a meeting coming up in about a week and a half to come back with all the information, but it's looking at like recommendation, what does it look like for drop-in play, what should the hours be, what are the times, what are the expectations, what should the rules be. So we're gathering all that information right now, so that way what happens is when that ad hoc committee comes back, then we have information to then turn around and present. So we're still in the process of fact-finding and gathering that information. I know on the park side, they're looking at, what would it cost if we are going to convert courts? So if we were going to convert courts at Pitts Ranch, what does that look like? What would it look like if it were at Valley Lindo? How far away are the homes? Are we trading one problem to get another one? Are we looking at Springville? Do we look at potentially places out at Freedom? Are there some opportunities? If we do, what are those costs? So we're trying to gather all that information so then we can bring that back. So that's where we're at currently.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Okay, we will move on to 7 consent agenda. Are there any changes to the consent agenda, or anybody want anything pulled? Okay, can I get a motion to accept the,
So moved.
I'll second.
Karen, please?
Director Malloy,
Aye.
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Dixon,
Aye.
Chair Magner.
Aye. Okay. 8 new items, discussion and action. First one is consideration and approval of the plans for the remodeling of the community center kitchen. Bob?
Good evening. Good to see you again. Tonight I'm coming to you to hopefully get the approval of the plans for the community center kitchen. So, as you know, the complex was built in 1969. It has an auditorium, the admin building, and rooms 1 through 5 are the existing what was built. And then in 89, they did an expansion with the current admin office and room 7. And then we converted the reserve room and room 6 into 2 separate. During the budget work staff presented to you and I had a list of capital projects and Quimby projects, and one of the projects was the community center kitchen remodel. As you know, the dishwasher's been red tagged for about 2 years now, and we've gotten through with the county, and they've had enough. So October 7th, the board approved for the general manager to enter a professional service agreement with Lauterbach and Associates Architect. So again, the existing equipment of the kitchen consisted of 2 ovens, about 1950, 4750s, 2 cooktops, again, at that age, they came from Freedom, 2 refrigerators that are still in there, 1 ice machine, a double sink, and dishwasher. That's what consists in there in storage. So the new drawing, we'll have storage, same storage roughly, 2 under-counter ovens. It'll have a cooktop grill. It'll have a freezing refrigerator, which already has, and another ice machine. And we're not sure about the a dishwasher. Depends on the county. We have to wait for hear that from that one. They might make us put a small one in, like at a winery. You know, you got the little ones, like a home one, but it's commercial grade. Anyway, so we'll also have cameras with monitors. The dishwasher I talked about. The existing hood and ventilator system will stay. There's nothing wrong with it. It's fabulous. We'll have new lighting to meet the code requirements, and of course, new flooring. So you've had the plans. It's a little easier to see on there. It was hard to do this. But this is the existing layout of the kitchen now. They will remove. That will be gone. That's where the dishwasher is. All that will be gone. They'll have to have another sink put here. I'll change pages. Sorry. Here we go. So they'll put the refrigerators over here, freezer on that wall. They'll open this wall here. That's room 1 is right here. So they'll open this wall here for the viewing, and there'll be I'll get that page where they're folding doors, and they look really nice. This will be the again under countertops with the ovens on them, and here's the grill, and then more storage. Ice maker sits in the back corner. That's where the drain sink is, and that's another wash hands and another sink here, and a coffee maker. Again, it just a little more plans of it. Little different views of the room. Same different angles. Here's the partitions. They're kind of like the senior center. The senior center has wood ones. Yeah. These are vinyl. I believe they were vinyl if I read it right.
Bob, they're on a track?
Yes.
On top and bottom?
Just the top.
Just the top, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so they're okay.
Yeah,
I
you'll have to swing out.
Yeah.
And they bifold up together.
Right.
So the design for room 1 has that opening, and it'll have the folding doors, like I said. We'll be able to use this. You can use that in multiple ways. We can use it for the teaching kitchen. People can use it as other opportunities for parties or even for kids that learn how to teach or cook. So it allows for more traditional uses, such as a large kitchen, the large community room for events that's serving food for the district and education center. Again, it's basically we're calling it a teaching kitchen. So it's recommended the board review and approve the design plans for the modern of the kitchen, community center kitchen. Any questions?
Neil, do you have questions?
This architect also did the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Valley Lindo?
No.
Oh.
They did the food healthcare district.
Camarillo Healthcare.
Healthcare.
So
yes,
they helped
okay.
design and build that one.
Well, they've also worked for us, though, too.
Oh yeah, we've used it in the
Yeah,
past.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Neil, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I on paper anyway, I like the design. It certainly opens things up. Looks like it creates a lot more space. So I'm in favor of it.
Mark?
Are there any concerns about losing security to access to the kitchen by having those folding doors?
No, because they're lockable.
Okay, so everything that's in there would.
Yeah, and
locked up
the
anyway.
cabinets will be locked, of course.
Okay.
And then the partition doors are lockable. You can put them together and lock them.
Oh, okay. I think the idea of the folding door is great, because that definitely adds some rentability at a higher rental rate too, for that room. So
Especially with the
That's a
kitchen,
plus.
the cooking shows on TV and everything. I think it'd be really positive.
Mike?
Yeah, I think this is great. Thank you very much for, paying attention to what we were talking about before and going through and trying to figure all this out and working with them. I think this is great. The only question I have would be, as a warming kitchen, do we have enough counter space in there for those people to work on? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
There should be, because you have the oven you can use. If it's not on, you can put stuff there.
Yeah, because that's a countertop, actually. The
Right.
oven will be underneath it on two sides of it.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're not losing out on the warming kitchen components or
Now, I
capabilities.
believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Bob, but with the countertops, there'll actually be more countertop space with this design than what's currently in there because of the way that they're redesigning it. So that actually should add more space throughout.
Yeah, because when you have, as we know, we've had a lot of events in there where
Correct.
the countertop space is important for the warming kitchen things, where they come in with their stuff and try to get everything organized. So this is great. Thank you very much. I'm very excited.
Bob, is every appliance that's in there now going to be replaced?
Yes.
And so there won't be any reduction in capability?
Possibility the freezer and refrigerator might stay.
Okay.
That'd be the only two things. Everything else is old.
And when the appliances get to the point where the appliances are selected, how is that going to be done?
They've recommended a little spec sheet of what they suggest. So they're all commercial grade.
Trust me, just because they say commercial grade doesn't really mean that much.
No. I went and researched on it. Yesterday I was looking at it, seeing actually what kind of money it's going to cost us for the appliances. So
are these people? Do they have expertise in selecting commercial grade cooking appliances?
Yes, my opinion, yes. They've done.
I don't want your opinion. I want to know if they do or not.
Yes, they've done it. Again, they did a healthcare district. They've done other large projects. Like the top of my head, I don't know, but yes.
Because many times, if we're going to have the public in there, you get an appliance. First thing you know, the knobs are broken off. The things are certain surfaces are extremely difficult to clean if they're not cleaned right away.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of issues, and having a contractor select appliances because maybe they're getting the best deal on those appliances, which is how it kind of goes.
Well, that's why the architect's suggesting these appliances. We'll be purchasing ourselves. We won't have a contractor. We'll eliminate the middleman, and then again we'll do our research on them and go from there.
Yeah, I would like to be involved in that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's all I have.
How big is that grill?
48 inches. 60 inches. The grill will be 60, I believe. top of
Okay,
my
it's
head.
a flat top. It's not
Yes.
a grill.
Yes,
Okay.
a griddle.
Griddle. It is a griddle,
Griddle.
not a flat top.
No. Well, griddle, yes, flat.
Okay. I'm with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
solid.
Okay. Flat.
Yes.
Okay. And that ventilation system is good enough?
Yes, ma'am. That's a very good ventilation system. They
Are you
say.
talking about the hood?
Yeah.
The hood that's actually on there, I think when we were talking to Mark, is well over $50,000+, and there's nothing wrong with it.
Okay,
So-
well, I know that they have a long life. I understand that, but I wanted to make sure that was going to be enough to,
Yeah.
I don't
The
I don't
system that-
remember being in there that I've actually seen that thing going, so that's why I was curious if that was going to be sufficient for what the cooking classes and things like that.
It should be, but we will, as part of the bidding process, we'll make sure that that's part of it if need be. So if we need to relook at that or reexamine that, that can all be part of the bidding process.
Okay, yeah, I know they're very expensive, so totally understand. Okay.
Madam Chairman, just since you
ahead.
brought that up, just to remind you of something, and I know you remember this. When Pleasant Valley Fields was built, they built a full commercial kitchen in there, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the hood, a massive hood that cost a bundle of cash, never worked. The Eagles had to come in because they run the snack bar there and pay to have that all redone.
Remember you saying bring that up a couple years back, yes.
Yes. So I don't want anything like that happening again.
Hopefully, it'll still stay intact. We can use that one. 'Cause
Okay.
It's a big chunk of change.
No, I didn't necessarily mean, I'm sure that the vent that's in there now is probably okay. I'm talking about other things.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And most of those should have standard warranties. And so it's it's a matter of staff making sure that if something isn't working, that we know about that immediately and don't wait. So we'll make sure we take that into advisement.
Okay. All right, so we need a motion
Yes, ma'am.
and a second.
I'll move to approve the design plans for remodeling of the community center kitchen.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Director Malloy,
Aye.
Director Mishler,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Dixon,
Aye.
Chair Magner.
Aye. Okay, 8B. I believe the general manager's on point.
I'm on point.
Huh?
For
It's your turn.
It's my turn.
It's your turn.
So typically at this time, there's recognition for the outgoing chair and then board members. So usually at this point in time, if, say a couple words and then I'll turn it back over to Chair Magner. This year, I think as everybody knows, it's been an extremely interesting year to say the least, with just everything that has happened. And so I want to thank the board chair for the flexibility and as well as all the board, knowing that I think as we first started out in March, I think we had a board meeting about every other week, trying to weed through some of the COVID stuff. So Chair Magner, thank you for kind of weeding through and kind of growing with that, because it has been one of those years. I think I've talked to you more this year in the last since March than we have in a while, but thank you for that. And I know with that, I think you had some comments and had comments from other board members. So
Yeah. I'll start off and then I'll go to everybody. So, and as Mary said, tonight's my last regular meeting as the board chair. This is my third time around as the chair, but I never imagined that the third time would not be a charm. When we began in January, I was looking forward to all kinds of new things. I just didn't realize that it would consist of a pandemic and all kinds of real new things and new ways of doing things. So to say the least, it's been probably the most trying time for the district and the board in recent past. The pandemic had a major impact on the district, our staff, and definitely on our finances. In typical years, board members spend hundreds of hours preparing for board and committee meetings and responding to the many public inquiries and complaints that we receive. And it's usually easy for the public to criticize everything on a daily basis without giving any thought to what goes on and why it goes on. This year has been anything but routine. The number of inquiries and complaints haven't slowed down, but have increased amazingly. I mean, just any one day I can open my email account and I have 15 emails. And I remember in times I was president or the chair before, I wouldn't even get one, maybe once or twice a month. So this time was much, much different. I'd like to thank the board members for their steadfast commitment to Mary, to the Pleasant Valley Recreation and Park District staff and the community to provide services during these trying times. It's been a pleasure to work with the board members and the general manager. As Mary said, we've talked more than, we've talked as early as 6 o'clock in the morning and as midnight. So just a lot going on and trying to figure out what's going on, what's happening and what moves we need to be making. So, and I believe she's just done an excellent job, and the board has been very, very good in supporting her. So that's always great. Wish I could say that I thought there was some light at the end of the tunnel as I stepped down. However, PVRPD is in for more trying times. According to the governor's press conference today, a possible stay-at-home order is imminent. And as Mary and I were looking at the statistics, the numbers and things tonight, I think it's probably tomorrow or Saturday. So we're not going to see an end to this pandemic in the near future with or without a vaccine, nor will our finances improve. In fact, I think our finances are going to be even hurting more with the lack of revenue. So I think whoever the new chair will be and the new board members on board will be working really closely with Leo and Mary to make sure that our financial situation is stable. So, and I have no fear that they will make sure. I would like to thank Director Dixon and Director Mishler for their dedication for the past 8 years and wish them well in their future endeavors. Hopefully we'll see you guys at our functions and that you'll support us as you always have. So thanks again. Mark, would you like to be next?
Sure. Okay. Well, I'd specifically like to address Mike and Neil.
Okay.
Mike has a passion for community service like few people I've ever met. I mean, he never stops. He's the ever-ready buddy for community service. I remember when we were both AYSO volunteer referees and division directors and, you know, doing all this stuff. And he ended up rising to regional director and took over the program when they were practically broke. He served as president of Ventura County Special Districts Association, which is, you know, the most wide-ranging group of people with different interests. And Mike did a terrific job as our president. He spent many years attending our meetings and commenting and learning about how we work before he joined the board. So he was ready to hit the ground running 8 years ago, and he absolutely did. He is tireless in his quest to learn more about how park people use the parks and what they need and what the staff needs, and he's really added a lot. And the other thing that I admire, because, you know, I'm basically a salesman at heart and a salesman by training. Mike's an engineer, so he knows how stuff actually works, and his technical expertise. Addressing things like, you know, when we thought we were going to save a bunch of money with solar energy, and he drilled down on the numbers and found out that it wasn't really a fit for us. The dealing with our electric rates and saving us a ton of money on our light bill out at PV Fields, because Edison doesn't tell you what the best rate is. You have to figure it out on your own, and Mike figured that out. He also was tremendously helpful with the Camp Springs project and analyzing the hopelessly useless flooding plan that the developers proposed. And without Mike's expertise as a master's degree in groundwater management, we could have never had that. The last thing I want to mention is his willingness to take on really thorny, politically difficult things like getting decent Quimby fees for the district. For many years, we got way less money for the park component of development projects until Mike started going in and sitting down with the planning staff and going through, well, where does this number come from? Where does that number come from? And it resulted in much more revenue for each new project that comes in. It's made a lot of the upgrades that we've done possible. You know, I'm looking at this huge demand that's exploded overnight for pickleball, and you know, we're gonna have some money to address that need as well. And when I joined this board 14 years ago, we didn't have any of that. So your impact here is tremendous, and as you can see, it's pretty hard to accept losing it. But thank you.
Thank you.
You've taught me a lot. And Neil, you're not going to. I'm not going to be as rough on you, but you brought a caring and compassionate side to the board that we never had before either. One of the things I always liked about this board of directors is that we have so many different areas of expertise, and we never had a doctor before. And with what you do for a living brings a passion for people that really shows through and reflects on what you've done. We also have talked for literally decades about getting a foundation started and starting up a nonprofit, and you jumped in and made this thing happen and put on that really great fundraising party at the park for a couple of years, and again really helped move the board forward. And for the last 8 months, you've also been a voice of reason amongst a lot of frustration about the pandemic, and you telling us firsthand what's happening at the hospitals and what's going on and what the situation is. It's incredibly valuable because we have to keep telling people they can't use the things they paid for, and that they expect to have, and that we brought to them for a long time. And it really helps. It's really helped to have you there to explain to us why it needs to be that way. So I know both of you are going to put your talents to someplace else and somewhere else, but I sure hope you keep in touch with us and continue to support us. And I know Mike won't hesitate to tell me when I got something wrong. So I know I can look forward to that in the future. Thank you so much for your service. That's all I have.
Bob?
At the last meeting, I gave a fairly long speech about my two friends on the board. Somebody wrote into the Acorn and said that I was just upset because my two buddies were leaving the board. Well, if you're listening, you got that right. I am very sorry to see my two friends leave the board because I know how hard they're going to be to replace. As Mark pointed out, the expertise, Doc Dixon, he's a doctor. Mike is a geologist. Of course, geology is a little closer to Park and Rec than medicine is. But Mike just brought so much to the table, stuff we never would have been able to do. We would have made wrong decisions countless times had Mike not gone out and spent hours and hours and hours researching, talking to people, getting chased out of people's offices, and just, challenging what was considered to be fact. The whole deal with the solar, where I'm not sure that this board wasn't ready to go with that solar project where we would have lost a ton of money if Mike hadn't done all of that research, which I know must have taken him weeks to do. It's just an asset to the board that's going to be hard to replace. Definitely a tough act to follow. Thank you. And Doc Dixon, Mark is right. You brought a different view to the board. And I thought sometimes I didn't appreciate it that much, but I've grown to appreciate you. And from the bottom of my heart, both of you guys, I hope you do well. You get involved in something else. Come back and run for the board again. Maybe take my place next time. But clearly, on a more general note, nothing is going to be solved here until we have a fairer distribution of the money that the taxpayers pay. We are constantly having to perform magical acts in order to provide the service that we do on the amount of money that we are awarded at the end of the day. And it's only going to get more challenging, especially, as the chair pointed out, no revenue coming in. Thank you.
Well, actually, I have a lot to say, but I was planning to do it for the comments at the end. So if you don't mind, I'll just wait till.
All right. Mike?
Well, I'll go ahead and make some comments now then. But, yeah, I want to say thank you to, first of all, I'll start off by thanking the staff and all the board members here in our entire community, especially we have a special thanks to a lot of the local volunteers we have in the community. That's what makes Camarillo great. It's not just this district or a government agency. It's working with a bunch of volunteers out there in the community who are also willing to stand up and spend some time and get involved. And for those who may not know, who are listening, the board members up here, we're essentially glorified volunteers. There are no benefits. We get paid a couple bucks for these public meetings you attend, but as you've heard from various members, we all spend a lot of time out with the community and doing things and doing research and stuff, and we're not being paid, and we're not complaining about that. That's just part of the job, is trying to improve our community, and unless you spend that time and make that effort, we can't improve our community, and that's all going along with that. So I've been very honored to have to be part of this process these last 8 years. And then I'm also very proud of the fact that what this district has accomplished during the last 8 years. I'm just going to go over a couple little examples. You might have already heard this before, but we're the only special district in Ventura County that has these televised meetings or broadcast meetings. There is we've been doing that now for almost 8 years, and no other special district anywhere in the county does that. So that's a big accomplishment, and I'm very happy and proud for that. And I think that really helps out in the community. And was also, when we first came in here, we had budget. I remember 8 years ago when we came in, and I came in, we had major budget problems, and now we're leaving. So, when we first came in, that was the number one priority, was budget issues and stuff. That really occupied a lot of our energy and time back then. So but we got a handle on it, and we got through that. Also, over the last 8 years, we have implemented a lot of maintenance and really expanded our upgrades to our facilities and parks. Here tonight, you were seeing, we're talking about our community kitchen here and stuff. But we've been doing all types of projects all through our facilities and parks. We have the best maintained parks in Ventura County. You won't find parks on average that we have here at the same quality anywhere else in Ventura County. And that takes work from Bob and all his staff and all the people out there. And our facilities, from what I've seen over the last 30 years, I think our facilities are in the best shape now. I mean, there's always something else to do. Don't get me wrong. It's not like the list ends, but I think our facilities are in the best shape they've been in over 30 years. And that took some work and time to do that. Another example is that we came up and implemented a tree maintenance program. We have 4,000 trees in the district, our urban forest, and we have a maintenance program that routinely goes through there and works with all those trees to help our environment. We are always expanding our communication and coordination efforts with the community. We saw all these examples and input from the pickleball people. We've been working on that, and that's just one example. We have the Miracle League, which we'll get an update on here, I guess, a little bit. But we're close to working out a coordination with the Miracle League for working out to help out the community and the whole county. And then one thing I'm going to talk about here at the end, and this is something most people do not understand who are out there in the public, I think. One of the major things I came in with, and we've been making a lot of headway on this, is we interface with many different organizations in the community, community groups, but also other government agencies. But the one that we were working with 8 years ago, but had a lot of room for improvement, was the city of Camarillo. And over the last 8 years, we have spent a lot of time and we have made a lot of headway in tying together better the city and the rec and park. I'll tell you one quick story from probably about 25 years ago, when I was talking once with the, at that time, the director of city planning over here in Camarillo, and I asked him once, I was in his office, and he was giving me a lecture on some stuff and for trying to give too much input and stuff. But anyway, during that part of that lecture, I said, well, how come you don't call up Rec and Park and ask him about this or that? And he says, I know 100 times more than everybody over there, and it'd be a waste of my time to even pick up the phone to talk to him. I mean, that's how it used to be that bad. People don't understand how bad it used to be here in this community, where the people in the city treated this district like it was a little subpart of the city, and they just sent things over to sign automatically, and there was no input or two-way communication. All that's changed. We are now back up operating together, and so we've made a lot of headway on that. That's something probably the public really doesn't understand. So one example on that is the senior center / gymnasium. And a quick background on that, again, for people who may not know. Simi Valley and Thousand Oaks have a great senior center. They also have some gymnasiums and stuff. What people don't understand is the cities of Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley they paid 100% of the cost to build those senior centers. They own those buildings. Those are city-owned buildings. They pay the maintenance, the utilities, the upkeep, the janitorial fees, and everything else to do that. Thousand Oaks spends about, the city of Thousand Oaks, Buddy was talking about this. I went up and talked to the people in the city of Thousand Oaks about this. They spend about $20,000 a year on that senior center to keep it up to date and maintaining it and fixing it up and stuff. Well, it's built on Canal Rec and Park district land, but the city owns it. And then the partnership they have there is Canal Rec and Park provides the staffing and the programming. So when you look over a 20 or 30 year period, it's about a 50-50 split in terms of how you're doing it. So, and also the city of Thousand Oaks required the developers and some of the developers in Thousand Oaks and to provide funds for new gymnasiums. And 2 of the gyms that are up in Thousand Oaks were paid for by developers, not the Rec and Park up there. And so how's that relate down here? 8 years ago, when we talked to the city, they basically said, well, why are you talking to us about a senior center? That's your problem. They wouldn't even to begin with. But now we have really come a long way. They're on board with us. We've been meeting. We've been making headway. We had a lot of public meetings. We had come up with a plan. We were up to where at the beginning of the pandemic, where we were just ready to kick off the environmental impact report to move forward to the next stage. And now all that's been put on hold because of the virus. And the city has committed $8 million of the $30 million. So we're still another $22 million short there and stuff. But we've been making good headway on that. And someone else has already mentioned it. We spent a lot of time working with the city and interfacing with developers. Before, the city would make all those decisions, just send a letter over here to sign off on it. So now we're really interfacing with developers along the way. It's more of a two-way street. So we've made a lot of good headway on that, and I'm glad to see all that. So again, thank you to everybody, and thank you to our volunteers in the community and everybody else. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. What Mike didn't say is we're not losing him for special districts. Last Tuesday night at the chapter meeting for special districts of Ventura County, they approved for Mike to stay on as the representative for special districts on the Ventura County Consolidated Oversight Board. So we're very happy that Mike will still be watching over the providing oversight to the consolidated funds from the cities. So
I still got to wear my tie. I can't put it away.
You can't put it away. No, you can't. So I'm very happy that they voted to do that, Mike. So you have a passion for those type of things, and we as a board really appreciate that, and as you heard, the special districts really appreciate that too. So I know we'll be seeing you and hearing from you. So, okay. We will go on to informative items or informational items. I think I've pretty well talked to that part of it, so I will move on to 9B, which is California Special Districts Association and Ventura County Special Districts Association. California Special Districts Association we've, I sat through 9 hours of Zoom meetings in November, and doing a lot of planning and everything for next year, trying to figure out how we're going to move forward with or without the pandemic and things. So that's, most of it is getting ready for the upcoming legislative period. Already, was it today or yesterday, the general manager and I received a request from one of the legal people, the advocacy group, and we want to get feedback on the Fee Mitigation Act proposals. It doesn't seem like this is ever going to go away. This is on Fee Mitigation Act, impact fees, Quinby fees you've heard about tonight, and capacity and connection charges. And it all goes back to the UC Berkeley's Turner Center report, clear back in, what's that, 5 or 6 years ago, on lack of housing. It looks like that Assemblymember Grayson is going to host a virtual roundtable, and CSDA will be involved, and they've asked for our feedback, so we'll be providing that to them. For the Ventura County Special Districts Association meeting, we met on Tuesday night. This was probably one of the longest agendas we've had in a long, long time. I became aware of a county, Kern County, receiving a $2 million allocation in CARES Act funding that was given to the special districts. So I got on the phone on Monday, arranged for the CSDA Public Affairs Field Coordinator to make a presentation to the chapter. He is the field coordinator for the area that's Kern County is in, and he was one of the key people in getting the money. So he talked to us about the process he went through, and we had several people from our chapter step up, and we're going to have a committee. We're going to see if we can't meet with the CEO of Ventura County, Mike Powers. We've got some people that know Mike fairly well, and we don't know if Ventura County has any money left, but there is a very short time limit on this because the money came directly to the county from the feds, and it has to be spent by December 30th. So we're going to really work on this. I think Mary already has received a spreadsheet to get what expenses we might have had that can possibly be reimbursed through this CARES Act money. If we don't make it through this one, we will be prepared for the next one, because if you've seen, I don't know if you've seen the preliminary information, but it's talking about states, cities, and tribal governments. Nowhere in there do they talk about special districts. So even though we've got those two bills sitting up in those bipartisan bills up there in Congress, wanting to add special districts to bills, and that is not happening. So we also got a update from the LAFCO, and Mike is going to give you another update on the oversight. He provided that to us. Also, we talked about, there was a presentation on the long and sometimes provocative relationship between water resources and the steelhead trout. So now I know why the steelhead trout are called the steelhead trout. So. The last thing that we talked about was got to pull it up here so that I can be able to tell you, about 2 months ago, the county, or the state came out with funds for grant money and for special districts for infrastructure. And the Harbor District, Oxnard Harbor District, has put in an application for $300,000 for this, and they have asked for the districts, they asked for the chapter support, and we have to take it back to our districts. So I'm assuming we'll see it on our agenda for January. Okay. So we'll discuss that. So special districts, both in county level and the state level, are very, very busy. So we will move forward. And Mike, would you like to give your report on the Ventura County Consolidation Oversight?
Yes, thank you. And we had a meeting on November 18th, and I had a one-page summary handout I passed out to staff and the board members. And for people who may be listening on this, the current name is being used as successor agencies. What this is, the cities used to have these redevelopment agencies. And then when Governor Brown ended that program, they were all converted into successor agencies. So they couldn't start any new business in terms of redevelopment. And they were supposed to be shutting down the old stuff that they had already started as a city. And all the cities in California loved this. It was a way to take money from, essentially, the redevelopment agency is a way to take the property tax money from other government agencies and bring it into the city for the city to do special projects with. It sounds nice, but there's a lot of horror stories with it, and that's why Governor Brown shut it down. Anyway, so this little one-page thing here is kind of a little status report on it. And the good news was that Santa Paula has sold all their properties, and the only thing they have left are making the bond payments, servicing their bonds. And so they get an A+ on a little report card here because they filed their last and final report, and they don't have to do anything anymore. There's no more charges being taken out from other government agencies by Santa Paula, except for paying off their bonds. And then there's a quick list down here. There's Simi Valley has one property left, and they're getting close to getting rid of that. Camarillo and Thousand Oaks have removed all their properties they had from the redevelopment agency. Morgue Park dropped from 5 down to 2 properties, and they're working on those last 2. Ventura got rid of 1, so they went from 3 to they went down to they had 3, and they're down to 2. And they're getting close to trying to get those last 2 off. Fillmore had 4, and they're down to 2. Port Miami is in the process of taking their 2, and the successor agency is going to transfer it to the city of Port Miami, and then from there it will go to the Port District. And they're 2 adjacent properties side by side. And then Oxnard is a big mess, but they had 7 properties, but they're down to 2, so that's good. They're making progress in that regard. And then what we do as an oversight committee, one of the things we look at is not only the properties, but we're also looking at their admin budget. This is how much money the successor agency can use during the upcoming year, during those 12 months for staffing and doing their work and activity and stuff. And so we review those things. We can't direct them to tell them what it is. But if we don't like something, we can say, well, we don't approve it, which means that when it goes up to the state, they can be reduced by the state then if we don't give our blessing to it. And the 2 big ones here on the list was Fillmore and Port Miami, which each came in with $250,000. And other cities that have the same amount of properties are doing the same amount of work for $100,000 instead of $250,000. Camarillo here is spending $55,000 basically on their stuff, but they don't have any property. So we have some follow-up meetings with the cities of Fillmore and Port Miami coming back to tell us why we shouldn't reject their request for $250,000, and the city of Ventura is coming back in the upcoming meetings. There was some. I brought up some questions on training costs and stuff that I think should be a city cost, not a successor agency cost. So they're coming back on that. So we're making some headway on that stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy?
Yep. So we had a meeting this last month. This was your typical Zoom meeting with lots of people and over 3 hours long. And most of the meeting was essentially just people making reports of their giving us status reports and stuff. There wasn't much action to do there, but it was still over 3 hours long. The big thing about the the National Park Service, which had all this fire damage here some time back, as we all know, they've actually received their funding from Congress, and they're actually have implemented and moving forward right now to actively rebuild and replace a lot of the fire damage up here in the Santa Monica Mountains for their properties. And by this summer, they're hoping to get the first of their stuff done and back open to the public. That's the complete opposite from the state park system, which also had a lot of fire damage up in Santa Monica. They haven't received a single dime yet from the state, and they're still in the process of waiting and going through paperwork and stuff. So they're way behind on trying to get anything done and repaired from the fire on the state property, when the National Park Service is making good headway. And that's my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mike. All right, report of standing committees, finance. Mark?
Yeah, we had a very busy spending month in October. Our payables and payroll came to $1,253,000. And when I first saw that number, I kind of did a triple take, like, oh my goodness, why are we spending so fast? And then Leo reminded me that that's the month that we pay the principal and the interest payment on the PV Fields loan, which is $525,000. So that's why the number was so high. But and we had 3 payrolls. So the months we have 3 payrolls, they're always higher. Our revenues continue to really lag. We're down $683,000 from the same time last year. Part of that is last year we had one-time revenue with the Hill Fire reimbursements of $156,000, but our public fees are down $145,000. Our ROPS is down $114,000, and our rentals are down $102,000. So those are all COVID-related impacts. On the plus side, because we're doing less, we're having less personnel expenses. So our personnel expenditures are down $197,000. And they're actually down more than that, but our CalPERS unfunded liability went up $85,000 this year. So, that again, that's paid on the first day of the fiscal year. So that puts a big whack into it. But Leo just breathed on a cash report again this afternoon. As I told you, as we get closer and closer to our property tax time, things are going to become more nervous. And, as you recall, last month we approved borrowing money out of our capital fund if we needed to cover expenses in December. But it doesn't look like it's going to be necessary. Right now we're projecting of an ending cash balance of about $600,000 at the end of December. And that's before the property tax money comes in. So that's not a huge cushion for an organization this size, and certainly when you have months when you spend $1.2 million, having $600,000 is it sounds like a lot, but in fact it's not a huge lot. So we'll really know more of where we are when that check comes in towards the end of the month, and see how many people paid their property taxes. All of the sources of information that we have say that we can expect the normal returns. I'm more nervous than that, because I was here when we were $500,000 behind, and it was no bueno. It was really hard. I remember the first round of ERAF, the Educational Relief Assistance Fund, which is steal money from special districts to pay teachers. We lost 12 employees in one whack. That was way back in the 90s, but we're not looking at something like that. But we're definitely need that check to be near projections, or we're gonna have to do some serious belt tightening to make it to the end of the fiscal year. So good news, and hopefully more good news coming. And that's all I have for finance.
Okay, Liaison, did liaison meet? Okay,
Liaison
none
has
of the
not.
liaison met?
No.
Okay. Long-range planning?
We met. We had two subjects. One was the equestrian park. The first meeting that I attended where actually members of the public were able to attend. We exchanged information, and the citizens that have formed a small group to try to keep the trails as they have always been, which is a very challenging subject, have been out canvassing the area and finding out who's for it, who's against it, among the property owners along the trail area. And Anthony provided the leadership for that particular part of the meeting. And pretty much it's just an early intervention into a problematic situation that had we waited until the time the agreement was going to be extinguished, it could have been a real mess. And so we're getting out ahead of that. I wouldn't say, in my opinion, Mark may differ with me, but there wasn't a lot of new information. It was more just updating of what was going on. Freedom Park Pool, a discussion about the old pool that used to be at, it was originally put in by the government, and at somewhere along the line it became too expensive, it was too old and decrepit, and it's not being used anymore. So the question is there an interest in that land? We have various land swaps we would like to do with the county. From what I understand from the meeting, the county is not interested in providing the very piece of property that we would like to have, which is next to the dirt bike or the bicycle track that we have out there. And I'll defer to Mark for any further comments on that. That's pretty much what I got out of it.
Well, on the Los Pozos Equestrian Park, the interested citizens that have been getting involved in this have really been doing some legwork, as well as Anthony is updating a list of who owns all those properties, talking to the people and explaining the need. And as I expected, when the community gets involved, people cooperate, and you know, because everybody wants things to work, and you know, I'm a lot more optimistic about this than I was in the beginning. When we looked at it and there's, you know, these blocks falling down the mountain and all this stuff, it was pretty intimidating. But you know, as you get through it, you just, you know, it's one piece at a time. And one of the real keys is getting the county to come through for us and get the horse riders access at the bottom end, because right now they're just sort of doing it on their own, and that's not really okay. We got to get that right. But I'm glad we have a lot of time to do this, because you know, these are thorny issues, and as we all know, once we get to the place where the lawyers take over, that's when it really slows down. So you know, we got to get to that place. But on the land swap, you know, as you know, there's new management at the airport, and the new management has a really different attitude towards the use of the property out there than the old management did. They're much more towards what can we do to expand the airport and make the airport a bigger and better thing, and not as sort of community oriented it has been in the past. But that also has created some opportunities for us, and you know, we're going to work through that. But it's all good, because we're in no place to do anything with that pool, and we have lots of other needs that we need to make, and there's a good chance we could get a substantial sized piece of property to do something really useful with it. So,
Thank you. Personnel, it was canceled and rescheduled for this month, later
Yes.
this month, so Director Kelly and I will be at that meeting, and we didn't hold a policy committee meeting.
No policy committee.
So. All right, ad hoc committees. We did not hold a meeting on Miracle League, but I think Mary may have an update for us from on the Miracle League, so.
Certainly. So Miracle League, so Rick and I and their attorneys have been going back and forth regarding the preliminary or draft agreement. So I think we're getting closer, at which point in time he's been going back and forth with his board. So once we get probably to the next step, it'll be coming back to the liaison committee so we can further explore what that looks like to make sure we're on board before we bring it to full board. So we're getting closer. It's just taking some time as it's going back and forth through a litany of people.
Okay. Nexus study, with nothing on that, or do we?
We should have something, we've gotten at least a draft, so we should have something probably in the next 3 weeks or so to reinitiate the ad hoc committee on that as well.
Okay. All right. Pickleball.
Pickleball, we met before last meeting, so nothing new, but it's obviously a hot button issue. I'm sorry I won't be here to be part of that. So.
And I think Mary's given us a pretty good update on what's going on with the staff as far as backgrounding and things, so. Foundation for Pleasant Valley Rec and Park is on a hiatus, like most other charitable things are. And so I will turn it over to the general manager for her report.
All right, so we'll hit a couple of main themes tonight, and one is COVID related, and I think a couple of people have mentioned this already. Earlier this afternoon, Governor Newsom announced a regional stay-home order. So what that means is it'll apply to regions with less than 15% ICU availability. So in the past, what they've done is looked at it by county. What they're actually looking right now is doing it regionally. So Ventura County would be in Southern California region, which makes sense. But what makes that up would be Imperial, LA, Mono, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura. So all of those counties make up in Southern California. So what they do is they look at the entire region and what the ICU capacity is. So this afternoon they actually updated it. Right now the capacity is about 20%. So when it drops to 15% is when these new regulations would go into effect. And so when it's triggered, the order will prohibit gatherings of any size, close sector operations except for critical infrastructure, retail, and require 100% masking and physical distancing. And when that happens, there's a 48-hour time period. So let's say, like I said, right now it's 20%, or 20% is what we have for ICU. If tomorrow it hit 15, within 48 hours, these new orders take effect. So previously, if you remember in March and April, it was pretty much, we'd had less than 24 hours to make some of these things happen. So with that, there are a couple things that potentially will affect us with the regional stay-at-home order. So if it drops below that 15%, indoor and outdoor playgrounds will again be shut down. Right now, people can use them, but there's warnings on what that looks like. We would end up having to go back to signage that says no outdoor, no playground. Indoor recreation facilities would again be shut down. We haven't had any since we've been in the purple. Museums, zoos, aquariums. One of the things that they have and continue to talk about is leaving outdoor recreation facilities and continue to operate those kinds of things. So like your, dog parks, all those things that you can do individually. Looking at the orders, one of the things that they are encouraging is to make sure, so like if you're going to do tennis, it should be singles and not doubles. If you're doing volleyball, I'm not sure how you play singles volleyball, but to play singles volleyball. So everything is either within your household and or singles. So those are some of the things that they are reversing. So it is not the complete shutdown that they did in March, but obviously it's more than what the purple tier is right now. If that happens, then what it looks like is they would reevaluate. It would happen for 3 weeks. They'd reevaluate on a weekly basis, and then go from there. So once again, in order to get out of that, they would look at it on a county basis, but when we go in it, it goes in as a regional. So still learning more. That happened this afternoon. So that's one of the big things right now. So once again, we're back in that state of flex and what that looks like, and we'll continue to communicate as we get more information. A couple other items. Was on a call this morning with a legislative call, as well as getting some other updates. So some of the things that potentially affect us under Revenue and Finance, AB 217, which takes effect January 2021. And there'll be a 5-year sunset on that, but it's called the Security Limited Obligation Notes, or SLONs. What that is the board would have to approve it by 4/5, state the purpose of the debt, which could be either for acquisition improvement of land, revenue sources could be identified, and a maturation date of 10 years, and we could borrow up to $2 million. So it's another opportunity that districts for revenue, or at least be able to borrow if we needed. And that's a new 5-year sunset. Otherwise, it was supposed to it was due to sunset in 2019, and they had to go back and look at that.
Mary, would you give an example for people that are listening of how that might work?
So what might work is, I'm trying to think of a good project. So let's just say we wanted to replace 10 playgrounds, and all those 10 playgrounds cost $200,000. So the district would decide, hey, look, we want to take a loan out for that. So the district would be able to take out one of these loans to do that. And so there's the potential, another revenue potential. We could levy the land or district lands or a park or something against that in order to take out that loan.
I see.
So it's just another avenue for us
Mary,
to be able to do.
don't you have to identify the revenue source that's going to pay back the loan?
You also, that is correct. So the
That's
other
a real
piece of-
important
The other
piece,
piece
yeah.
of that is you'd have to identify, so whether it was a general fund, an assessment, or something specific in order to pay that back.
And so that could be levied on by...
So what they want to, right, so what they want to make sure is you have a revenue source in order to pay that back, so that what they don't do is loan it to you and there's no revenue source to bring it, in to be able to do it. But
So you could, if you could lose your collateral, is what you're saying?
yes. So if we didn't pay it back, they could, if the collateral was a park, then what they could do is we'd end up losing a park or whatever that facility was.
Mary, did they talk about interest rates on those loans?
Not specific, but I can get more information if that was something that we wanted to do down the road. So it's just a couple other things.
Mary, excuse me. Was it 4/5? So four of the five directors would have to say A.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. A couple other things, governance and accountability. So AB 992, which is the Brown Act and social media. I believe we've already updated everybody. I sent that out, but just for informational purposes as well. So AB 922 is actually more stringent than what the normal, if you're having a conversation with another board member, is. So it's gone to as far as if you're on social media, and let's say, just to give you an example, so let's talk about pickleball. Let's say there was a comment on pickleball that said, hey, look, we're going to build a new facility. And if we had another board member that liked that comment or commented on there, that potentially is a Brown Act violation, because that is something that could come before the board. So one of the things, and like I said, we sent that out before, but it's more stringent when you start looking at social media than if you're just having in-person contact. So a couple other ones that will affect us, AB 685 and then Senate Bill 1159. Those are both related to COVID. So we have Senate Bill 1159 is workers' comp, And so what they have done right now is the bill would define injury for an employee to include illness or death resulting from COVID. And so that will be good until January 1, 2023. So it extends our liability all the way up to January 2023. So if we had somebody that got sick today, that would extend that if there were still ramifications, issues all the way through 2023.
You mean extending the presumption?
That is correct.
Okay.
AB 685 is somewhat the same thing. What that deals with is notifications and how employees are notified. And we have to now, within 24 hours, depending on what those circumstances are, notify employees. So OSHA has just updated their new standards as of Monday. So it all kind of falls into line, which just means that districts, cities, agencies have more requirements on what they need to do and how they need to handle COVID issues.
Mary, is that just for public agencies, or is that for private entities also?
That's for private. So when it first started out, it actually dealt specifically with some of your critical care and first responders. And then it went and it increased to businesses with 100, and now it's businesses, if I remember correctly, with 5 or more. So it's gone all the way down. So it's across the board.
So it's AB 685.
So there's AB 685 with the imminent hazard to employees, and AB 1159, which is workers' compensation.
Okay.
So the other one that keeps coming back is this one is AB 685, which is the workers classification, which is the independent contractor. So the bill, as everybody saw, passed. One of the things that is helpful in there is there's language in there that applies to bona fide business-to-business contracting relationship. So that means that so an easy example with this would be Brightview. So because it's a business-to-business, it sets out standards which makes the exemptions much easier, opposed to somebody that just may be a specific person or an individual that we contract with. So there's things that go through here. So one of the things that they look at is, do they have a business license? Do they have, do they provide the services? Do we contract with them? Are there things in writing? Do they do most of the stuff on their own? Set up, all of those kinds of things. Or do we control them, or do they control what their work schedules look like and such? So those are still part of that as they're looking at it, but at least there has been at least a little bit of light where it goes business to business. So there's at least a pathway that we can get there. There also is still, if you go through the other bill and what was passed, there's a whole lot of exemptions that are part of that, and there'll still be cleanup. So example of some of the stuff that they were cleaning up, there was conversation before, like our sports officials. So that's been exempted from this. So there's specific things like that, but you have to go through, because when you go through the bill, there's a ton of different, there's a lot of very specific ones that are left out. So let's see. One of the other ones that will affect one of our community partners is AB 1, which is a Youth Athletics California Youth Football Act. So the bill on January 1 would require a youth sports organization as defined that conducts a tackle football program to comply with certain requirements. And part of that is not conducting more than 2 full contact practices as defined per week during the preseason and regular season. Not holding full contact practice during off-season. There's specific requirements regarding coaches' education, and there's also specific requirements to satisfy safety equipment. So one of those things, and I know we had talked a little bit about this, like when we were having conversations with policy and what needs to be there, but one of the big things is having a licensed medical professional present during games, and having coaches receive first aid, CPR, and automated external defibrillator certifications. So they are increasing what those requirements are for football. So, and they are aware of this. Huh? For right now, it's only football. As of today, no. There has been talk with other bills of adding those. If you remember, there's a bill that came in, I can't remember the number, but a couple years ago, there was a bill that had come out that said that all the coaches had to have not only first aid CPR, but also had to have some other training as well. That got cut back a little bit, but I wouldn't be surprised based on this bill if we start to see some more of that stuff come back through. So, but I think football was probably one of the bigger ones. So, which I know is going to be difficult for most of our sports leagues, because now you're requiring all these volunteers to have more and more training, and what does that look like? So those are kind of the highlights of the bills. I know that there was a huge stack, but those are some of the ones that will affect us directly over the course of the years.
Well, Mary, I'll just add that when I was coaching at Camarillo High School, some of that stuff was required for some of the coaches there, but that was a paid position. That wasn't a volunteer position, and that was part of the requirements. But there's a difference between a paid position and a volunteer.
Correct. So those are the updates that I have.
Okay. All right. Oral communications. Who's going to start? Neil?
I mean, I don't know. Everybody else may have made their oral communications, but yeah, I kind of saved my comments for this point along the way, because a lot of what I'm going to say is less business and more personal. So I wanted to start out by talking to my fellow board members. When I first came on this board, I had for more than 20 years I'd coached AYSO soccer teams and baseball teams, and worked in the snack bars, and done lots and lots of things that I thought, boy, that's a pretty good resume for this job. And I came here to realize that what I had done doesn't hold a candle to anything that the four people sitting around me have done. These people are amazing community servants. If we were to pay them for all the hours that they had put in, mostly unrecognized by the community, you'd be talking about six-figure salaries for all of them. If you look at the Park District and some of the gems of this district, things like Pleasant Valley Fields, everybody wants a piece of Pleasant Valley Fields. It's one of the premier sports fields in this county in all of Southern California. And that's only here because of the efforts of the people that are sitting around me. It's their personal efforts that turn 26 acres of dirt into one of the most beautiful sports facilities in the county and in the Southern California. And the same applies for Freedom Park. When my kids played soccer in Freedom Park, it was an irregular, gopher-filled, pockmarked place that looked more like the surface of the moon than a premier place to play soccer. And now it's beautiful baseball fields that people all over the California want to come to play at. And again, that was made to happen by the people that are sitting here. And that applies to so many other things in this district. The fact that we have these beautiful parks, as Director Mishler said, some of the most beautiful parks in Ventura County. It applies to why do we have the best dog parks in this county. These people have committed themselves to this, and they're paid very little. Most of what they do is unrecognized, and I personally want to thank them. And I'm humbled to have been working with people and kind of held in the same stature as them. But these are true public servants, and the community owes them a huge debt of gratitude. I was going to take a little extra time to talk about Director Mishler, but I think a lot has been said about him already. But I'll just sum it up and say there is no other public servant like Mike Mishler. It's just unbelievable the degree that he digs into problems and finds solutions for them. As he was voted off this board, I especially was concerned about the oversight committee. I mean, Director Mishler's not only been a phenomenal asset to this district, but to every district, every agency that's involved in that oversight committee. I'm sure they were alarmed at the possibility that he wouldn't be coming back. So thankfully he is, but special thanks to Director Mishler, and I think that he occupies some humongous shoes that somebody's got to fill. It's going to be a big job replacing him. Next, I'd wanted to talk to the employees and just tell them how much I appreciate everybody who works at this district, from Mary on all the way on down to every employee at every level. When there is a kind of a general perception of public employees out there by people who are not public employees as to gosh, they get great benefits, and there's people have this DMV view of probably all public agencies. The people who work here are phenomenally dedicated to their job. They're intelligent. They're hardworking. They're working in the best interest of the public and of the district. And I've just grown to appreciate them so much. And these are not highly paid positions. People are not getting wealthy working here. Our last meeting approved a fee schedule that was a part-time fee schedule. But if you look at that fee schedule, those are not big ticket salaries. Those are incomes that are hard to raise a family in an expensive place like Camarillo or Ventura County. And I appreciate every single person that works in this district and the hard work that you do, the professionalism, the dedication to your work, and it shows. When you walk out and look at our parks, it shows. So thank you very much, and it's been an honor and a privilege to have been part of this organization with you. Lastly, I wanted to just talk. This is probably where I go off the rails on the whole thing, but I'm going to talk just a little bit about myself and a little bit about the election. I'm disappointed and sad that I wasn't reelected, but I'm a believer in our process and I accept it, and I congratulate the people who are replacing me. The remarkable thing about this whole thing, though, is not that I didn't get reelected. Probably the more remarkable thing is that I'm here in the first place. I've never had any political aspirations before this venture. I'm certainly not a politician by nature. Anybody who's watched these meetings can know I put my foot in my mouth on a regular basis. I'm kind of uncomfortable in the spotlight and speaking to the public. Anybody who knew me in high school or junior high school, I was a painfully shy kid back in those days. I probably could have gone through high school without ever having had a date, other than when I was 16 years old. I got asked to a backwards dance by a young girl that I barely knew. And she was not only cute, but she was a cheerleader and a popular girl. And I thought I could have won the lottery and not been as excited as that was. And luckily for me, that little cheerleader is still with me today. And she's very much responsible for pretty much every good thing that's happened in my life. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. Now, I mean, because of her, she's helped me come out of a personal shell, and to put myself in positions that are way outside my comfort zone. And with that support, and with kind of a personal belief that I think each and every one of us has the capability and the obligation to try and make the community and the world that we live in a better place. That's the things that drive me to do the things that I do. That's part of why I'm here. That's part of why I have the job that I have. And leaving this position, there are lots of doors open to me. So I'm I don't need to feel sorry for myself about that, but I've lost my train of thought here, but going on, I will just to speak about the election there. I like to think that the election in terms of not having lost the election, but more define it as I didn't get reelected. But I did have 13,000 people approximately who voted for me. Those 13,000 people did not vote for me because they saw my name on a slate put out by any political party or by any organizations. It was not because some elite sports group was driving to get me elected so that I could make changes as to the way we do things here. It was 13,000 people that know me personally, that I've in one way or another touched their lives, either in my profession or because I coached their kid in a soccer team or a baseball team or met them at school or a church or some other organization that I've been involved with. And those people trusted me, and I appreciate every single one of their votes. Even as recently as yesterday, I had someone come up to me and tell me how sorry they were that I hadn't won. And even a week or so ago, I had someone come up and ask me if I had won, and was shocked to hear that I hadn't. And not because they knew anything special about how the election was going to turn out, but because they had such confidence that I was the kind of person that they could trust, that they thought I would win. It didn't turn out that way. I didn't spend a lot of money on this election. The candidates who did win outspent me as a group by 42-1. With that, they were able to beat me by about 1.5% of the vote. And that's not a criticism of them. It's why I consider that maybe losing wasn't such a bad performance. And I'm thankful to those people who supported me. I do wish the incoming candidates or the incoming elected directors success in their job as servants of the community. Because if they're successful in their jobs, then we all win. And with that, I think I've said enough. I'll close and turn off my mic. And again, thank you all for bearing with me. And I am very appreciative of my time here. And I will try not to be a stranger. Thanks.
Mike, you're good? Buddy?
If the day comes, if I'm able to muster as half a classy a speech as that, I'll be doing fine. Thanks a lot, Doc. You too, Mike.
Mark?
There's nothing else to say.
Okay. And I can't say anything, so meeting adjourned.